Okay, today's video is about why Yelp PPC sucks ass, basically. Okay, the premise behind Yelp PPC ads is you obviously pay per click to get traffic to your site, just like Google ads, Facebook ads, and other places where you can do PPC online. There's a lot of different places you can do PPC online for your business now, and it's a little hard to sort out. And you may have gotten a call from Yelp from one of their salespeople asking you if you want to pay per ad since you got a listing on Yelp already. Unless you're basically a restaurant, and that's about the main business type that I can think of, Yelp PPC is pretty much a waste of time because not many people use Yelp anymore like they used to. A lot of people still use Yelp, but of the people that do, you're not going to get enough traffic off of Yelp that's actually, legit traffic to make a good return on your PPC investment. And I have proof of that with two different case studies here where we had clients who've used both Google ads and Yelp ads, and we've compared them side by side so you can see what, where your money's better spent basically. But mainly I have done this just to provide a frame of reference as to how bad Yelp PPC actually is. Most of the traffic that they're giving you is bot traffic or fake traffic, and this isn't me saying this. I got this specifically from other people who ran case studies on this type of thing. I just knew that it was always bogus. But when I did enough research into this topic, I realized what was really going on. Generally speaking, PPC from social media type sites, which Yelp I would kind of consider that in the same realm, is usually pretty good. Or should I say, when you buy PPC from in-house PPC programs. So in other words, if you buy Facebook ads work so good because they understand how to police the bot traffic. Because it's their website. They know pretty much what's bot traffic, what's not. And you're basically paying for real traffic. Same thing with Google search, same thing with Bing ads, same thing with other networks that are in-house like that. Other places let you run banner ads like through Google Display Network. You get a lot of bot traffic because Google doesn't own the sites in which the ads are placed. And there's a lot of people trying to scam and get, advertising money from people like you who run ads there. So with Yelp, you should have good quality traffic because Yelp, obviously the ads are running on Yelp. Yelp's selling you the ads. They should be able to weed out pretty well like these other sites. Good real traffic versus fake traffic. But the issue is nobody uses Yelp anymore. It's a publicly traded company. They got to get quarterly revenue estimates that match or exceed what people are looking for, analysts are looking for. And it's so tempting. The first thing you would do, obviously, if that was you're the CEO or the chief revenue officer, would be to just juice the numbers a little bit. Oh, we'll just sprinkle in a little bit of fake traffic. Okay, next quarter, it's just like Enron, when Enron started to go down. They missed the revenue target, and they knew they were going to miss the revenue target for a quarter. What do? They sprinkle in and they cook the books just a little bit. And they cook the books a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more. Because you have to patch over the bad numbers from the previous quarter, the next quarter, so that you don't get caught up by, from what you did in the past. And then it just gets out of control. This is what I think Yelp has done, whereas it might have been a legitimate program 10 years ago when it first started. Now, the amount of quality traffic, real traffic, I should say, you're getting is very low. And when you have a budget of, let's say, $300 a month with Yelp, if they can't spend all that budget, you magically just always seem to spend it. And that's whether, they have the real traffic to fill it in or not. And of course, if they had real traffic to send you, I'm sure they're sending that. Or maybe not because, they're so far, ahead of, cooking the book, so to say, and if you want to give a similar parallel to like what was going on with Enron and with that example. They have to sprinkle in so much bogus traffic just to keep their overall numbers up. And of the few people they have buying ads from them still, buying the same amount of traffic that they did. So as the real traffic goes down on their site, they got to keep revenues up. They just keep sprinkling in more and more fake traffic. That's ultimately what it seems like is going on. If you're running Yelp ads already, you may be getting good leads from there, but it's all, you got to really do a cost-benefit analysis on this to know that you're really getting ripped off. And this is where most people go wrong. I would want to say 90% of the people who run Yelp ads right now don't do this kind of cost-benefit analysis, ROI analysis on their leads, and just simply don't know that they're losing money. If every single person could do a cost-benefit analysis on their Yelp traffic, 90% of the people would just disappear, because that's how most of the people are losing money. And like I said, unless you're a restaurant, in the case you're a restaurant, you basically live and die by Yelp. Because somebody's looking for a new restaurant, they go to Yelp to look for a review. But how many people, ask yourself, when's the last time that you went to Yelp to look for, when's the last time that you went to Yelp to look who to hire? And when's the last person you know said that they hired their tree service or their moving company off of Yelp? It happens once in a while. Some people are obviously still doing it, but it's not happening enough. Not enough to give you a nice, solid stream of traffic and leads, specifically leads, that you could pay for on a monthly basis that's worth anything. And if they just sent the legitimate traffic that they used to have, and that's all they sent was just the legitimate traffic, it'd be worth it. But it's the juicing of the traffic that they do on top of that, the juicing of the numbers, so to say, that makes it not worth it. So in short, that's basically the problem with Yelp, and you're going to have a much better return on your investment going to Google and going to Bing. That is, of course, you know how to do it. And the reason why people go to Yelp to get the traffic is it's easy. You don't have to be a PPC expert to run Yelp ads. They basically set the whole thing up for you. But if it was easy and anybody could just show up to Yelp and just talk to their salesperson and get rich on the leads from Yelp in your niche, there would be no opportunity there. That's how business is. Anything that's too easy is going to be not profitable, particularly as it comes to advertising. You have a great opportunity with Google and Bing ads, Bing being about 15% of the search market in your market, if you realize it or not, to make a ton of money, because not everybody is going to be willing to set it up the correct way. And if you just set it up the correct way, that is the opportunity. All you got to do is follow the videos on this particular channel where I guarantee results for our clients and then tell you how we're guaranteeing results and how to set up your campaigns thereof to get the same results for yourself, even without having to hire our PPC firm. And you're going to get fantastic results, similar to like the numbers what we're sharing with you here today in this case study. But so that's why there's a great opportunity for you elsewhere on Google, even though it's not going to be, spend 5 minutes, give your credit card, to somebody and you're done. The days of making great money with your advertising, doing that, are over. You got to have something, you got to have some sort of edge. And your edge is having more, you have a better funnel, the funnel customers to you, meaning better advertisements, better site or landing page you're taking them to. And that other edge is having more data awareness or information about what works and what doesn't work. Once you've ran your ads for a while, half of your edge on Google ads is understanding what keywords work, what keywords didn't work, and all that, because when you set up your tracking, it tells you exactly what worked and what didn't work, so you can narrow down what you got. And so it's not a matter of if you will get a great return, it's just a matter of when. So anyway, with that said, this is about Yelp. I will get into the information that you came here for here today. So having as many clients as we have, like I said, I ran across people who work with here that had been doing Yelp when we were starting. And what I know about Yelp, I'll always basically let the client know, hey, ultimately, we have an opportunity here if we spent more on Google ads, because this is our bread and butter here. We do all online advertising management, but if they're making money on Google ads after 3 or 6 months of setting up their campaigns, we'll generally say, okay, well, the money, you could start to scale this ad account we built for you and make money. And if you're struggling to scale quickly, let's look at your other places that you are still paying for ads from, and let's figure out if Google or the other place that you're advertising at has a better return, if Google's beating it, it was just cut off completely those other networks one at a time. And if I see Yelp, I almost universally know that that's just waste money that could be reallocated to Google for the client. So, well, Yelp, looking at the numbers, and we know what the numbers are because we use call tracking on every client's campaign. In any place where, calls are going to be generated through the campaign and through the site. And with CallRail, you can see exactly how many calls you got from Yelp with call tracking. And if we're lucky enough to have the call tracking set up by the client before we kind of got started, we have a lot of back data to tap into. Otherwise, we just set it up and then we build up that data, once we've started so that they can track what Yelp is doing, in addition to other sources. You should track all the sources of your traffic so you can do this kind of apples to apples comparison between one traffic source and another and then figure out which ones are worth it. So with that we use CallRail for the call tracking. With this CallRail data that tells us who called, how many calls we got the recording of the calls so we can know who specifically called in, because they say who they are when they call, at least for service companies, like home service companies and the like. We could actually then get an export from the client's billing system and then just do a matchup game. Customers that came from Yelp, here's what they, here's how many we got, here's what they spent, so on and so on and so on. So, respectively, generally speaking, for home services, if you're doing that, the job size can also vary, and that's another element of whether one traffic source is what it's truly worth versus another. You also have, of course, the close rates to look at, and then the also cost per response. What we universally basically found from Yelp is, while it does produce some calls, for some people they try it and it's like no calls even. So it's even worse than that. But, people usually get some calls. The price per call is absolutely freaking terrible. Okay, and you'll see this if you go ahead and brave enough to be honest with yourself and set up call tracking so you can see how many calls you're actually getting from that $300 or $400 or $500 a month investment from Yelp. So what we have here is a case study, two case studies that go over a foundation repair company that was running Yelp, as well as a tree service company that was using Yelp as well. Apologize, I'm getting over a cold. So anyway, we'll start with the foundation repair company. We pulled the data, and with this, by the way, if you're going to do this is basically how I would run your numbers if you're trying to see if Yelp's worth it or not, and you're on the fence about it still, before you axe it, which no matter how bad I say it is, I encourage you to just do your own case study, just like this. Set up your call tracking, measure the leads, compare them to your other lead sources, then axe it. Because you may axe it, and it was the 1 in 10 that actually get good value out of it potentially or whatever. Because this isn't like every single time it's never worth it. Most times it's not worth it, okay? So that to be sure you do this. And but anyway, what we did is we pulled all of 2020 numbers out of our CallRail account. And with CallRail, by the way, and you would also want to pull your form leads out as well, which you can, when a form lead fills out the form, you can actually create a hidden form field to capture where the lead's coming from to look at the form leads as well as the phone call leads. But when you are going to pull the numbers, you should do a whole year, because every business is so seasonal. If you only look at certain months, your data might be totally skewed. So we pulled out a whole year, because that's our normal process for this, of all of 2020. And Google Ads itself, starting out, had produced $91 a lead for us for this foundation repair company. However, Yelp PPC, it was $485 a lead. So way more expensive. Now, whereas the lead's more expensive, you normally don't, it'd be stupid to stop there. You need to look at closing rates. Are the leads better, and are the leads worth it? Don't just get all emotional over the cost of a lead, because that's dumb. It's all about profit. How much profit can you make? So we looked at that as well. The closing rate on the Google leads was 1 in 6. Whereas the closing rate on Yelp leads was 1 in 4, so it's better. Which naturally makes sense, because if you're on Yelp, you're looking through the reviews, naturally by the time you call, you've already narrowed down who you kind of want to go with. Whereas on Google, yeah, that's kind of the case still as well. More likely they're going to be calling 3 or 4 people and then price comparing. So Yelp actually might be 2 or even 3 times more higher, a closing rate that's 2 or 3 times better than Google, depending on what your niche is. And that's why you want to do this cost-benefit analysis, because even though the lead might be 3 times more expensive, it might be 3 times higher closing, or 3 times higher closing rate. But it still is a stretch that'll happen. Usually the lead cost is way, way, way higher, and even though the lead quality is better, it just doesn't outweigh, at least what I've seen, in terms of how much more you have to pay to actually get someone to call. Anyway, going further here, cost per sale now. Cost per sale on the Google ad leads, ultimately with the $91 cost per lead, takes 6 leads to close the sale on average. $546 average cost per customer, okay? On Yelp, $485 a lead with 1 in 4 turning into a sale. We're at $19.40 per customer, which is a 3.56x higher cost per sale than we have with Google on Yelp. So, or in other words, we have to pay 3.56 times more for a customer through Yelp ads and the leads we've gotten through Yelp for our advertising spend than we are getting from the same exact money on Google ads, okay? Naturally, I think that would certainly be, I know it would be even higher if we had a similar budget size from Google to Yelp, because if I could just spend $500 a month on Google and that's it, we would cherry pick the best of the best of the best, and it would be like a 7 times higher lead cost per sale instead of a 3.56. So anyway, you get the general idea that why the title of this video is Yelp Sucks. And I'm proud to say it. Tree service company now. Okay, for this case study, Google Ads had produced a $17 cost per lead, which is pretty damn good. Yelp Ads, however, produced $199 per lead. So this is way, way more expensive, obviously. More than 10 times higher cost per lead, which, breaking it down and going back to what I was saying earlier, certain niches, very few people are going to go on Yelp to look for a company. And where it matters more is where customers are unsure about the quality. If the quality is of a question. If you're going to get broken toilet repaired, you know probably 99% sure whoever you call the hire to fix the toilet being broken, they're going to fix it. It's not going to be a problem. And even if they can't fix it, you're out $100 and you can just hire somebody else. If you're going to get your foundation repair, people care about reviews more because it's a bigger decision and you want to make sure that you don't get screwed on that big of a purchase decision. With that much money, it costs many thousands to get your foundation repaired on your house or business. Whereas a tree service company, yes, they could drop a tree limb on your house, but it's still not as critical in that most people that for the tree services, they just need a few limbs cut off of a tree. They don't necessarily care so much about the reviews, or less anyway, than the foundation repair company. And it's more about price overall than it is about the reviews. Even though they're both important, some niches it's all about the reviews. Some niches it's all about the price, and then usually most niches are somewhere in the middle. For Yelp ads, though, more than 10 times higher cost per lead, naturally, though, because there's going to be, in my mind, less people looking on Yelp. There's less of a demand for Yelp to find a company to begin with. Yelp's got to send more junk traffic through to be able to spend up your budget every month. So, anyway, with that said, the few people that did go to Yelp because they had maybe a bigger job, and therefore they care more about the reviews, the leads closed at a much higher rate. They actually closed at double the rate that the Google leads closed on average. We had a 1 in 2 closing rate on the Yelp leads, so fantastic there. 1 in 4 close rate on the Google leads. So even though, obviously the closing rate on the leads, this is where, obviously where people get screwed up, because they know, when they say, hey, where did you find us? And they say Yelp, and they know that person that comes from Yelp is super serious all the time, but they aren't paying attention to how many Yelps they actually hear. they get fooled into just keep doing it long term, and that's basically Yelp's bread and butter. People that aren't paying attention. So anyway, even with a double the close rate on Yelp leads versus Google leads, or for Google Ads, the final cost per sale for Yelp was $398 versus the cost per sale in the Google Ads was $68. So a 5.85x difference in cost per sale on the Yelp versus Google, or in other words, they had to pay 5.85x times more for a customer through Yelp than through Google Ads. So it's even worse than this case study for the foundation repair company. And naturally, because probably people care about Yelp less for that niche and those types of jobs, if you will. So anyway, you can see two different types of companies, how it can vary, and how you should be able to, how you really should be looking at things this way if you're going to do Yelp PPC. But that gives you a general idea of kind of how bad this actually is, and backing why I'm saying that Yelp sucks, outright. So why is it like this? Well, I already touched on this, because Yelp is giving you false traffic straight up, mainly as no one is using their services anymore, or not as much, I should say, anymore. People use Yelp way more than before. They need to keep the revenue up. They're not going to tell their current customers, like you probably wouldn't if you were running the company, hey, sorry, we don't have enough traffic. Your $500 budget, we can't spend it. We'll take your 100 though, not your 500. No, they just bridge the gap between the 100 that they can really give you in terms of real leads, and then the other 400 is just pure fluff. And well, Yelp provides great quality leads, that it does, as if we're what we're seeing here, because they juice the numbers so hard to make sure you spend all your whole budget. It's no longer worth it. And it'd be okay, I would say also, part of the way that you could make up for the juicing of the leads is to set your budget real low. But they have a minimum budget size, so you're guaranteed to get screwed over unless you're in a certain niche that has a ton of Yelp traffic, restaurants or whatever. But even then, I don't know what percentage. It very well could be that they just, even if you were to spend $100 a month, they would juice that $100 a month with false traffic, so that the traffic that they had could be resold, if you will, to other people, if you will, for what little they have. Spread it around more. Have the capability to spread it around more. So anyway, I don't know the particular details on if you spend less, you have a higher return than more, you get less of a return. I haven't done that level of a case study yet. If you guys have done anything like that, I'd love to hear what your information, like what your experience was. But at the very least here, you need to be critically looking at your Yelp traffic if you're paying for it now. And if you haven't started doing Yelp at all, don't even do it. Just go straight to Google. Watch my videos on this channel on how to set up a campaign that's going to be guaranteed to essentially work and beat all your competition, where you'll have a better ad click-through rate and a better landing page conversion rate than anybody in your space, which guarantees that you'll make money, essentially, assuming you can sell like anybody else in your space and you have a similar quality product or service and that's similarly priced. You'll be guaranteed to make that work, and even though it takes more time to get it working, it scales much more. You may be able to spend only $500 a month on Yelp, but you could spend $10,000 a month on Google once it's scaled up. That's a typical amount that we could spend in a local service market. And, basically make the Yelp, whatever you're making with Yelp anyway, just look like peanuts, where you can make several million a year just off of Google Ads alone. So why even worry about Yelp, basically? But it's up to you, obviously. You could do Yelp if you want. For me though, 100%, I'm doing Google first. Once that's done and I can't get any more out of Google, then I might just dabble in Yelp. That way, if Yelp doesn't work, it's no skin off my back, because I'm already making millions of dollars already. And if it doesn't work, that's like 1% of my revenue. I don't give a shit. You might as well try it. Once you get Google working, I'll try this, I'll try this, I'll try this, I'll try this. And just with your tracking, you can easily monitor what's worth it and what's not. You should try it for 6 months and just see what happens. And more importantly, just as a final note about that, when you do your testing, whatever you test, make sure that after 6 months, if you don't got the return you want, as it comes to advertising, you don't just say, well, F this, I'm done with it. Look at how the results compared month 1 versus month 2 versus month 3. And if your results are steadily growing in terms of the number of leads and number of sales you're getting per dollar spent, keep going with it. All you're looking to do in that first 6 months is to see if if the results are improving. Too many people expect all the return to be there in 6 months, and if it's not, they axe it like it's never going to work. Most of the time, when it comes to online advertising, PPC advertising particularly, it takes, the more you run it, the better it gets. So just some food for thought, particularly with Google, also with Facebook, because they're algorithmically driven. And these ad networks, even though they're pay-per-click and it seems like an on-off switch, either it's running or it's not, they're continuously improving your ads, and the algorithm needs data to improve your ads. And so you can't expect your ads to work as good as they're going to work 3 years from now after 6 months, because it's just going to have 3 years of data to look at versus 6 months worth of data to look at. So anyway, with all that said, I'll wrap it up with that. Hopefully this made a lot of sense. If you liked the video, I'd appreciate giving it a like. And consider subscribing to the channel, as I have a ton of information on this channel, as mentioned before, about how to make money with ads. And I manage about 3 or 4 dozen PPC accounts at any one time. And all the strategies that are working today, I give to you exactly on a silver platter on this channel for you to use. Ultimately, it's just like having $1 million a month worth of ad testing money to just figure out what works. And without needing the money or the time or the effort, I give you all the information about what works here on this channel. So, how could you go wrong with that? As opposed to other YouTube channels where a lot of these people, they don't do PPC on a regular basis, or they manage 1 or 2 accounts, which is not enough to get a good feeling of what's going on. Or they run an agency, but they don't actually do the strategy. They just manage other people who do the work. I'm managing the strategy on 3 or 4 different accounts. And we're constantly studying, I'm constantly studying exactly what's working and what's not working on Google, Facebook, so on and so forth. So if you want to really get the money-making information on how to make money with PPC, you should subscribe to this channel. It's the best channel on YouTube that'll give you the best information on how to actually make money. Beyond that, though, I also, by the way, have a blog at guaranteeppc.com/blog where there's step-by-step information as well on how to set up PPC campaigns that are guaranteed to work. We got to guarantee results for our clients. And with that, I give you the methods we're doing for clients to do that on that blog, which is also authored by myself. So if you're looking for extra information on how to learn how to do PPC right, you can go there and get a lot of extra great information. If you have any questions about anything I covered today or just PPC in general, leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a comment on this channel. So with that said, there's a final thing I should also mention here. We have a brand new program at our PPC agency where we're offering turnkey PPC campaign templates. So if you're in a space we've already worked in before and there's no conflict of interest between our client and your market, you're in different geographic territories, you guys don't cross paths that way, instead of building a campaign up from scratch yourself or trying to figure out how to make millions with it, you could literally take the results, the campaigns, the ads, the keywords, everything that we know that works in that market, and basically give you the template to use in your market and pay a one-time cost to get it versus hiring us for ongoing monthly PPC services, which is cheaper, and there's still more work to do on the back end for yourself, but it's a different way to try to get to the end results without having to do all the work yourself. And we can basically tell you what results you'll get up front before you even use the templates. We give you the campaign template, the landing page template, everything you need to get those results. So if you're looking to hop over all the BS that it takes to, essentially get the multi-million-dollar sales results in your market from PPC that are profitable and paid for themselves, you can come to us and see if we have a template for you. If you're looking to start a new business, you could simply go through our list of templates, use a certain one, potentially outsource all the work to a local partner and have a business, out of the box ready to go with no effort, which people are doing here at our agency. So particularly as we started this program itself. So if you're interested in either of those things, let me know. I will let you know what campaigns we have templates for and markets we have campaigns for, what results we have in those markets, and you can decide if it's something you want to do. But beyond that, I'll wrap it up with that. hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you on my next video where we have another great PPC strategy for you there. Peace out.